bigger than 8x10. What do you mean?
I don't know. I got hit in the head a bunch of times. What do you want from me?
Speaking of that, what's going on? Like, why did he attack you?
Listen, that Momo knows no respect. And when I get my hands on him, you best bet I'm going to break him. I'm going to break him like the dog he is because he will learn respect. You don't do that to CJ Bambino and get away with it.
Man, are you going to make it to the next KVP show?
Of course I am. It's in 3 months.
Okay, so you got 3 months recovery, huh?
Listen, you get punched in the head with a chain twice and take the 3D. I don't see you in the ring, but you got a belt.
I do, not only 8, but the 23-6
Go
champion.
over there. Go. I don't even know why they put me and you on the same table.
I don't know either.
Go over there. Get out of here. Go.
Thank you, CJ.
Leave me alone.
Yo, they call me Dank, the lyrical titan. Stepping in the ring, spitting fire, igniting. From the square circle to the booth, I'm dominant. Unbreakable spirit, call me the king, I'm prominent. Beyond the barricade, the podcast bumping. Real talk, no gimmicks, ain't no time for slumping. Grinding day and night, always something to prove. Elevating the game, that's the Dank move. Check 1, 2, this ain't no illusion. Dropping truth bombs, causing a commotion. From the canvas to the charts, I'm climbing. Champion mindset, always shining. Resolute, run deep, instilled the fight. Never back down, always standing upright. In the ring or on the track, same intensity. Delivering knockout blows lyrically. 1, 2, this ain't no illusion. Dropping truth bombs, causing a commotion. From the canvas to the charts, I'm climbing. Champion mindset, always shining.
Hi, welcome to Beyond the Barricade. I'm your host, Papa Dank. And SICW week continues. And I got my very special guest coming up, returning very special guest, the one, the only, the big Texan. Welcome back.
Hello, hello. It's nice to be back, sir.
Hey, man, it's nice to have you back. Now, we were talking off camera a little bit about that nice title you have back there. Let everybody know where the title came from.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, you had Glenn Williams on yesterday, and he talked about how Herb and SICW, we like to help out a lot of other charities. And there's a group called the Little Devils, which is like, it's regular style wrestling, like Greco-Roman and freestyle and stuff like that. It's an organization. They help little kids, and they created their own belts. Not for us to defend or anything like that, but they created them. All the wrestlers signed them, and they kind of raffled them off at their organizations, And I just happened to stop in. They asked me to come in for a trivia night, which was kind of great because they had some wrestling trivia that I was able to give some other people the answers to.
Right.
But they had a silent auction, and I seen one of the belts, and it's got all of our basically our whole locker room is autographed these things. So for my collection, it was kind of nice to have everyone that was there that night wrestling. So I got that belt's got all of our autographs on it. So now it's really personal to me. So
that's awesome.
It's awesome. It is awesome.
Now, is Glenn's autograph on there?
I might have to try to rub that off somehow.
Gotcha.
It's all markered on, so I'm sure with a little elbow grease I can get that thing off of there.
Right.
Probably increase the value of the belt anyhow.
No, I know last time you were on, we talked about collectibles, man. But now I see your setup is a little different.
Oh yes, man.
Yeah. Talk about it a little bit.
For the longest time, I collected everything wrestling, and just a couple things happened, and I had to sell it all off.
Yeah. I hear you.
But then I got the itch, and I just started picking right off, where I left off. So I've got everything from Hasbro's, LJNs, Big Rubber Guys,
nice.
I have it all. I've got a couple high-end pieces that I love, and actually they're right in front of me. I'll just show a couple of them off. You ever seen the Star Toys?
Oh shit! No, I've never seen those.
So
That's
these came from
Hacksaw.
Spain,
Uh huh.
and they're very rare, especially over here in the States. Spain was kind of like they were kind of bright with what they did to the WWF at the time.
Uh huh.
Like like here in the States, you know, they would do a contract with a toy maker and pay them directly and stuff like that. Well, in Spain, they were like, no, no, we want to make the toys and just license them through you.
Uh huh.
And so that's the reason they look so weird. This is Jake the
Oh,
Snake.
that's Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at that
Wow.
throw. That's
That's
kind of crazy.
awesome, man. That must have cost you some dough.
Oh, well, I can talk price because the wife ain't here, but it did cost me some dough.
Oh, look at Hogan.
Yeah, yeah. These are definitely
That's awesome.
highlights of my collecting, but man, I collect everything. I'm a reader, so I love autobiographies. So I got a lot of biographies
Yeah.
on wrestlers, um, and it helps in some situations too. Like before Harley Race passed away, he came in through him and Herb are friends.
Hmm.
Well, we're friends, and Harley Race came and in our locker room, it's like separate. So there's a room within the locker room where like all the stuff happens. You know, everything that's going to happen in that show that night gets talked about in there. And there's this big table, and throughout the show, I just kept peeking in, and there was no one in there except for Harley. And I was like, man, I'm going to come in here and talk to him because, you know, they always say to listen to the legends. You know, have them speak on matches and you know just basically learn from them. And so I went in there, introduced myself, and I've seen him a couple times because he's come through our locker room a few times.
Right.
But there's one night he was sitting there, like I said, and I walked in and I told him, I said, you know, I've read many of books on you. It's an honor to meet you, yada, yada, yada. And I said, I have really one question for you. And I said, the question is where was your favorite place to wrestle? And as we're talking and as he's talking, more wrestlers are joining in. And now the room is getting full of our wrestlers because Harley is speaking.
Right.
And Harley goes, my favorite place to wrestle is Japan. And he goes, the reason being, he goes, you go over there, and he's not talking like the Brody, fans that, go crazy. He said his favorite place was Japan because they were silent through all the matches. Like, and he said you had to be a really good wrestler to know how you're doing in the ring. Because, over here in the States or pretty much everywhere else, the wrestlers kind of go off the crowd. If they're getting cheered, they're getting pumped and amped and everything. And if they're getting booed, they're either going off on the fans or they're losing in the ring.
Right.
And so he said you had to be a skilled technician when you wrestled over there, so you know how the match is going because they're dead quiet. And he said at the end of the match, they're either going to stand up and cheer for you or they're going to stand up and boo. So you had to get your type of match in there and be able to get the outcome that you wanted from the fans, but you had to wait,
Right. That's
So
awesome.
it's the best. It's the best type of wrestling, and I love to do too. Some places you mingle in and out with different people in the locker room if you're wrestling them, and you kind of know what they're gonna do and stuff like that. I love it. Just meet me in the ring, and we're gonna work in the ring and get it done. I don't want to know anything. I think that's the best way to produce a match that you really don't know how it's going to go. You know, it's
Right.
I can't describe it, but it's what I
I know
like to do the best.
I know what you're talking about. Now, I was lucky to one of my friends was at WonderCon over the weekend, picked me up the Harley Race big rubber guy variant.
Oh yeah, the bloody one.
Yeah, it sold out in like 10 minutes.
Man, yeah, you know, they only did 500 of those things,
I know.
and I'm thinking
Gone in 10 minutes.
you're going to WrestleMania to sell them. You know how many people are going to Las Vegas, you know, and they're there knowing they're going to spend money. You think they would have done like at least 1,000 or 2,000 of them or something?
You would think, right?
They would have made the money.
They would have sold out, gone. Luckily, I'll have should be getting it next week. Should
Yeah,
be
that's
coming in.
awesome.
All right, Robert's got a question for you. How long have you been wrestling Big Tex?
So it's been about 22, 23 years. You know, I started, I guess, when I was about 22, 23. And, you know, so that dates me right there. So, but, you know, I loved it. You know, I'll tell you how I started. Um, I was a manager of a quick oil change place. And there was a guy that came in, and he goes, "You're a pretty big guy." He goes, "You ever thought about wrestling?" I said, "Every day of my life. That's what I grew up watching. It's how me and my dad connected, because my dad loved. He worked two jobs, but he made sure he was at home for watching wrestling, and we were allowed to hang. You know, this is back in the day where like
Yeah.
they have their own den, and you can't go in that den. You know, and you know he loved it watching wrestling with his two sons. I got an older brother. And that's what connected me, you know. So I've loved wrestling since I was a little kid. But this guy came in, he was an independent wrestler, and he said he wanted to start his own promotion. And he was collecting a few guys that he wanted to train, and
Right.
you know, like I said, start his own promotion. And I was like, well, I'm down, you know. And little did I know how he was not set up to start his own promotion or even uh, run a training facility or anything like that, because his place where we were training at was at a YMCA on
Mhm.
a old basketball court, and he had those little mats for freestyle wrestling, and we were taking bumps and learning how to do things on those, landing on the basketball court wood. You know,
Mhm.
it was not ideal for that. But unfortunately, him paying the YMCA, I showed up there one day and they said, "Well, your guys' checks have been bouncing, so we don't want you guys here no more." And I was
Oh
like, "Well,
no.
yeah." Luckily enough for me, one night he took us over to a place called South Broadway, MMWA, and
Mhm.
it's where they practiced. So I knew where that was. So once I knew this guy was not going to go anywhere, I went there and started training with them.
Right.
And that pretty much took me through my career, uh, going different places, different training facilities, and now I'm actually part of the Ace Academy with Bob Orton Jr., and I help train his guys. So it's like full circle, you know, being trained, and then now I'm at the age, you know, 20 years in, and staying in the local scene, you know. So now I'm just trying to give back and teach the up and new, you know, up the newcomers. Like, I don't know if Glenn told you last night, but I was one of his trainers that got, you know, once he got his foot in the door into the school, I actually helped train that little punk. Um,
He's hungry.
oh, he was hungry, but he pissed me off when he first started, and I wanted to beat the crap out of him, and I still do.
I'm sure you'll get the chance at SICW to do that.
Yeah, I've only had two cracks at him, and like he said the other night, he got the best of me one night and was able to take one of my titles away from me.
Yes.
But like he said, 20 minutes later, someone took the title from him. So
Right.
it was a good night.
Not for him, it wasn't. All right,
Hey,
But let's talk about.
He did me dirty, so I'm glad he got it put back on him.
I'm coming to it, Serena. Hold on. I wanted to get some of the figures back there before we go into FanFest. Now you got, is that Harley back there from an Elite?
Oh, let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, so
Oh,
I
you have
had
the
these
Rick Rude.
guys, huh?
That's Rick Rude.
Yeah, Harley's right next to him now.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
okay. Is that the
so
regular or the chase?
on the road it is the chase.
Ooh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I really like the wrestlers, the legends that I was able to get in the ring with and wrestle, and the ones that came in through multiple different companies that I've worked for. I've pretty much wanted to keep their figures around.
Right.
So I never did get to meet Rick Rude, but I tell you, if you're looking for perfect heels, Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect, those two are great.
Yeah.
But Harley, like I said, I befriended him and got to know him really well before his passing. Jake the Snake Roberts, I got him over here because he came in through our place a few times, so he autographed that one for me. Let's see here. I picked up a little crazy one. Got the zombies,
Oh,
Undertaker there.
I remember those.
I tell you what my favorite thing in my collection is, though, is this autographed wrestling boot from Hulk Hogan.
Now, was that ring worn?
No, it's not ring worn, unfortunately, but it's
still pretty cool.
All the paperwork in it saying that this is real and legit from pristine auctions. But so my dad, he looked like Hulk Hogan to me.
Yeah.
Because he had, we're both bald down the middle, and he had long blonde hair, but he was bald on top. And his job, he was a machinist, and he swung a hammer all day. So his arms were just like, 24-inch pythons, brother.
Yeah.
And, just having him look like Hulk Hogan to me when I was growing up, Hulk Hogan's always been my favorite. I know he's not everyone's favorite right now, but as a kid, man, he was the legend. So I've got to work with Hulk Hogan, not in the ring, but when he was in TNA, you know how, WWE and all these places would bring in the local talent to either run security and do other things behind the scenes. So I was put with Hulk Hogan one day, and it was like a whole weekend worth of stuff that they were doing here in town. And so Hulk Hogan, we got along great the first day. And so he actually asked for me the second day and asked for me the third day. So I spent the whole weekend with Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
Yeah. So and as a kid, meeting your idols, they always say, don't meet your idols. Hulk Hogan was awesome. Not as awesome as Ric Flair. Ric Flair actually took us out to eat. And
really?
paid for everyone. But another thing, and that weekend when I got to hang out with him all weekend, I told him, I said, look, I got the original Thunder Lips figure. I said, if I can bring that tomorrow and get you to autograph that, that would be awesome. He goes, bring it. So this is the original Thunder Lips figure. And unfortunately, back in the day, there was no thing as paint markers.
Yeah.
So it's, it's on there, but
they fade. They fade.
But that's my favorite thing, too. Again, it's Hulk Hogan, but...
That's right. And what's that WCW thing in the background I see?
That is actually the old cases that you would put the figures in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And actually, I just got this not too long ago. Actually, it was yesterday. So there was a guy on Facebook. He was selling his wrestling collection.
Yeah.
And I hopped all over that. it was all WCW stuff.
That's great.
But,
all right.
Yeah, wrestling's been so great to me. I've got to wrestle some of my idols, whether it be Bob Orton before I started working for him, or Tony Atlas. My very first one was Greg the Hammer Valentine, who's going to be at our Fan Fest.
Yeah.
Actually, he's going to be honored at our Fan Fest. So to me, that's awesome because a lot of these people at our Fan Fest I got to hang out with at some point in time,
Right.
or became friends with. Like Haku is our
Amazing.
buddy. He is always in town with us.
I got to sit close to Haku at the last year's Fan Fest. Yeah. I was like,
Haku
yo,
is
that's
great.
Haku right there.
You
I
hear all
love
those
it.
legends about him, and you don't want to ask him if they're true or not because he is so nice to you when you're face to face and you're hanging out and everything, and you don't want to see the other side of him. But you get on YouTube and listen to all these other legends talk about the stories of how he pulled out eyes and pulled out tongues and stuff like that. I'll stay his friend.
Yeah. He just I don't know if he jumped over, but he came over the guardrails when Jacob won the
when
title.
Jacob won. Some people are saying no. The guardrails lowered for him because they didn't want to mess with him.
Yeah, that's true. I
Who's
saw
gonna
that
mess
too.
with him jumping the guardrails either?
Who's gonna mess with who's gonna mess with Haku? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They'd be crazy. All right, we got some stuff going on. Robert says, I would love to see you turn heel. It would be unexpected and it would draw the fans. Okay.
So like I said, it's been about 22, 23 years. I spent 15 years as a heel. I wore a mask and army fatigues. I was part of a tag team called Guerrilla Warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And, we followed the suit of the LODs and the demolitions and, where we just go in there and just beat up everyone. And that's how we did it, And my favorite tag team growing up too was Doom, Ron Simmons and Hacksaw, or not, yeah, well, Hacksaw, not Duggan, but I can't think of his name is skipping my mind. Oh man, Butch Reed, Hacksaw Butch Reed. When they were Doom and they wore the black hoods,
Yeah.
So we went under them, and we just went in there and wrecked houses, and it was great. I had fun being a heel, but a mentor of mine, Larry Matisek, who is always honored every year too at this Fan Fest.
Yeah.
He was the ring announcer for Wrestling at the Chase.
Right.
Great program. Loved watching the reruns with my father. But I've always been called the Big Texan, even when I was part of Guerrilla Warfare. And he come up to me and he goes, I don't get the guerrilla. I mean, he goes, I get the Guerrilla Warfare. You go in there, you just beat everyone's ass. But you're called the Big Texan. You ever thought about changing your ways and going back to your roots? And about 5 years ago, I did that, and it's been great with the fans. But you never know; something could piss me off. I can change it and change my ways again.
Go back.
Yeah. I tell you another real reason I did that. Changed and went to the actual Big Texan as a cowboy. My dad, when he retired, he lived a few states away. He retired. He came back home, and he goes, "Man, you've been doing this a long time, and you never." Because I always did the thing where you wear the hood to the show, so no one's seen who you were. Right. When you're leaving, you wear it, you drive home with it until you're safe, and then you take it off. I kept it like that. And my father, he goes, you've been doing this for such a long time, but you're not, like, no one knows who you are. And that got to me too. I was like, I've been doing it for a long time. Maybe I should. And
Right.
that was another real reason too, that I took the mask off and changed my ways.
All right. Serena says, what are you looking forward to the most at FanFest 3?
I'm looking forward to just hanging out with what I call my friends.
There we go.
Right. And I'm also looking forward to Kevin Von Erich too. Because I only met him once, it was a very long time ago. And, growing up too, the Von Erichs was always my dad's favorite family, I
Right.
guess you'd say. He knew everything about the Von Erichs. And I got to tell him that too the first time I met him. But I just want to catch up with him, you know. And same thing with Greg the Hammer Valentine. You know, I see him throughout the years, and you know he comes in every now and then. And I brought a picture of me and him working together, and I was in the mask, and he goes, "Is that you?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." I said, he goes, "Well, I never seen you out the mask because there had been a gap since I had spoke to him."
Right.
And so he signed it, and he goes, "I remember that match." And I said, "I do too, because I learned such a great lesson from you." And he goes, "What did I teach you?" And I said, "Well, you know, when I first wrestled him, I wasn't a few years into the business, maybe one and a half. And you know, when you're green, you go up to whoever you're working, and you know, you kind of get a feel for him. You kind of talk to him about we were both. Well, no, I was a heel that time. Uh, but basically, I was asking him for advice and what we were going to do and everything like that.
Right.
And he goes, "Not now, come back." I said, "All right." So I wait a little bit, come back. I said, "You know what you want to do out there?" And he rattled off this whole match. I said, "All right, sir, thank you." And I went about my own ways. And I'm trying to, you know, go through
Remember?
my head, trying
Yeah.
to remember it all. And
Right.
we went out there for the very first lockup. Nothing that he said, we did. You know, the whole match was just ab-libbed, and it worked, and it was great. And I said, "You taught me a very good lesson." I said, you know, you can hope for a match to go one way, and you can try to plan it out, and you can try to work it out, the details and stuff, but it's not organic that way. You know, you got to go out there and just do it. And I said, "You taught me that lesson." I said, "And I still live by that lesson to this day." So,
That's an awesome story.
yeah, yeah. But man, I love hearing road stories.
Me too.
Yeah, and like the Hall of Fame, you know, WrestleMania, I always look forward to the Hall of Fame because before,
Love the
like
Hall of Fame.
all the legends are just recently coming out and talking. You know, before they're still tight-lipped on everything.
Yeah.
But the only way you can hear it was through the Hall of Fame when they were giving their speeches.
Right.
So I loved listening to all that. Uh,
Me
so
too.
this, you know, the first day of Fan Fest, the Friday show, is going to be Bill Apter is going to go and host this, and he's going to bring on most of the legends that's coming in, and they're going to do a Q&A and just give them the mics, and they're just going to be able to tell their stories, and that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Wow. They didn't do that last year.
No, they didn't. You know, he did like a little comedy routine last year, but this year
Yes.
they're doing the Q&A and the storytelling.
Man, I'm missing all this. Oh my
Oh,
god.
you're not going this year?
No, I'm not coming, man. I wish I was. Trust me, I wish I was.
Oh man.
I wanted to get. I actually bought an ECW belt, so I get Shane Douglas to sign it, Bill Alfonso, and Sabu, and I'm not going.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Oh my god, I'm so upset. I really am very upset.
Can you believe Sabu's retiring? Well, retired.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. The
Can't
first time
believe
I
it.
worked for the NWA, and this is back in the not quite the territories like they were famous for,
Yeah.
but after you know Vince bought everything, and the NWA was just trying to survive. So there would be people just. It kind of went back to the old territory system because you had ones working in southern Illinois and then southern Missouri and then a few other places. But the first night I went to work for the NWA, Sabu was actually working there as well.
Really?
And I got to talk to him, and you know he's a very quiet person. He doesn't like to talk, but I have a habit of talking your ear off if you know if I'm around you, and so I got him to talk, and just the stories that he would tell about St. Louis and how he would come to St. Louis, and there's you know strip clubs and stuff like that around here. And Haku's very famous for his time in a strip club in St. Louis. It's actually East St. Louis. Yeah, everyone still talks about it every time he comes to town because he ended up taking on like a whole police squadron, and took on the paper, the mace and everything to the eyes, and still went after them all. So he's still well known in St. Louis.
Oh man.
Yeah, but yeah, so just hearing that he's retiring now, and I when I was first getting my stuff going, I was able to be on the same card and hang out with him. But that's what I'm looking forward to, is these legends that don't normally go out to these fan fests and don't normally sign for people. They're finally getting around to doing it now. I know sometimes the unfortunately we lose a lot of legends every year, and I would prefer all of them to come out to these things and start opening up about. I mean, WWE is already opening up, unfortunately, all the things about wrestling, and I heard what they're going to do with Netflix here pretty soon.
Yeah, what are they doing with Netflix?
Well, supposedly they're having a new show on Netflix. It's called something Real or Unreal, where they're supposed to talk about how they work the cards and the pay-per-views and how they put the long storylines together from January to WrestleMania and stuff. And to me, that's just you're taking away the magic of the pro wrestling. But unfortunately, ever since Vince McMahon called it entertainment, and instead of pro wrestling,
Right.
it's been slowly coming out. I wouldn't say slowly; it's been coming out. But
Yeah.
I want the legends to at least open up to the idea of coming to these fan fests and telling their stories and writing their books and letting the fans come up and meet them. And I'm so glad that Herb Simmons decided, one, to do a Fan Fest 3, but to even do a Fan Fest at all. Because, he was always about the promotion and working for the crowds. But enough of us got together and said, hey, St. Louis was a hotbed for wrestling for so long, and we're trying to keep this dream alive. Why don't we have a fan fest here? And I guess finally we got him tied down enough where he said, "All right, let's give it a shot." And we're on our 3rd year, so
That's awesome.
yeah.
Hope to make it next year. Yikes!
Hey,
All right.
we try to make it bigger and better every year. So next year's is going to be bigger and better.
Bigger, better. What did you think of Triple H's Hall of Fame speech?
I loved it. I do say what I would prefer is for them to have the Hall of Fame on a separate night like they used to do. Instead of having it right after SmackDown, like the last couple of years where as soon as SmackDown ends, they would do it for a couple hours. This year was a little crazy where they had that 3-hour gap between SmackDown and the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because it wasn't in the stadium. It was in another place.
Yeah, I think they should do it on a Thursday, before Friday Night SmackDown. At least that way they're not falling asleep in the audience like Booker T did. I mean, he was praying. He was praying is what he said.
He wasn't the only one.
Right. But I loved, stories like that. And I didn't make it. I made it probably like 10 minutes into his speech before I had to turn it off and go to bed. And then I watched it the next day.
I watched it the next day because I was like, I watched like the first hour and I'm like, yeah, I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
I can't. And I have to be at work.
What I do wish too, so besides moving it to their own day, because they'll sell out. Everyone's there for WrestleMania week, so it'll sell out regardless if it's on its own day.
Right.
What I would prefer though is even the ones that they induct into the Legends wing, give them more props than what they have been doing.
Yeah, that was pretty quick.
You're right. I mean,
especially for Kamala.
Yeah, well, not even this year's. Like, Bruiser Brody went in, and we're big fans here in St. Louis of Bruiser Brody, and Barbara, his ex-wife, I guess widow,
What else?
She comes in every year for the Bruiser Brody Battle Royal,
Yes.
which is at FanFest.
Yes.
And she was telling us that she wasn't even told, when Bruiser went into the Legends wing. And she was even in the same city that WrestleMania was that particular year. And to me, I mean, that's not giving the flowers to the legends, And you hear the stories about how bad Kamala was towards the end of his life, and he went everywhere. He was in Memphis, he was in WWF,
Yeah.
and he was such. I mean, he wasn't like a big heelish guy, but he was a very big, popular bad guy.
Yeah.
And I think they did him wrong. It's a shame, but at least he's in there. I'm glad for that. He's got I think his family signed a Legends deal or a deal with them. So hopefully there's some Kamala, figures coming out in the line, and the
That's
family
right.
can make some money. So I'm happy with that. I just think they should give them, again, do it on a Thursday, make it longer, make it bigger. But
I agree.
I did like Triple H's his thing. I mean, he went from the very beginning of his career and talked about it all, and I love. That's what I love. That's what I love hearing.
I loved it too, man. It was good stuff. Wow, a lot to cover. The Bill Apter Show, the Fan Fest, the Bruiser Brody Memorial Cup. Out
Yeah.
of all three events, which is your one you're gonna go, man, this is awesome?
Well,
all three.
Yeah, all three. I live in St. Louis. It's held in St. Louis, and I still stay at the hotel that this is held.
Really? Well, you hang out with all the legends. That's why. I mean, right. I was there. I was like, oh man, look who's hanging out.
Right. I mean, I don't want to go home, so I will stay there, and normally we'll wind up in Haku's room and drinking a little bit of the bubbly or something.
I heard that. I heard about that last year. I almost got somebody was going to bring me up there, but miscommunication. It didn't happen. But I saw Abdul the Butcher over here, some Medusa over there.
Yeah, so I took Abdul the Butcher to his room when he first got there to check in and everything. Mm-hmm. And he's doing great now, but back then he was still in his wheelchair, full time. And so they asked me if I would take Abdul up to his room. Not a problem. Met Abdul many a times, and I was taking him up there, and we were just bullshitting on the way up to his room. And I tell you, I probably stayed in his room another hour because he kept telling me different stories, about Japan and Puerto Rico and everything like that. And eventually, the lady that always accompanied him, she goes, I'm sure he wants to get back down to mingle with everyone else. Maybe we should let him go. Right. I'll do that for you because I can tell that you want to get comfortable. But this is like what I love to do anyway. So.
My buddy Alex wants to know if you have any of the Ultimate Coliseum collections.
So I don't. For that long period of time that I wasn't collecting, that's when those were still coming out. And I know they just released a few more.
There's a couple more, yeah.
When I started collecting again, I went straight for the LJNs, straight for the line that meant something to me as a kid, and then I've been trying to collect the Hasbros, and then the Walmart Superstar ones. They look awesome, so I got a few of those. Then the Major Bendies came up, and Big Rubber Guys, and
Big Rubber Guys are cool. Did you see the Brodies coming out?
Yes. Yeah, I already got that pre-ordered in.
Yeah, I got to pre-order mine. When's the date on that? Did they say?
I don't know.
You only have a certain amount of time before you can order it,
Yeah.
So
I think they're still open for orders right now. So who knows?
Watch out, because I'm sure there's going to be a bloody variant in the future.
Oh, I'm sure. Heel and Faces, they came out with the Bruiser Brody. I've got that one. The old WWE version of Bruiser Brody. I got that one.
I have that one. I got the Power Town.
The Power Town. Got that one. I'm a
I
big
got the
Brody fan. You know,
I got the unreleased version too.
the unreleased one.
Yeah, it's like the original prototype, and then they changed it,
Oh,
and then they came out with the one
how
that
did you
you
get your
have.
hands on that?
They just put them up for sale on a website. I guess they sold them to someone,
Oh wow,
and
man!
then they put them up. Yeah, I was able. Barbara signed it for me.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, I never seen this one." It's like, "Yeah, this is a." I explained it all to her. She's like, "Oh, it's pretty cool."
I got the old. Well, it's newer, I guess, because Poppy redesigned the pins of Brody from Japan, and
Oh, I never see that. Where can I get one of those? I want one of those.
I got mine out in Vegas, but this is the Poppy Bruiser Brody. Whoop, let me go back here.
Oh wow, I see it.
Yeah, so it's not the original ones because you know those ones were the very first action figure for wrestlers,
Right.
and you know the rarest one is that Hulk Hogan that's out there. But yeah, these are just like copied of them, so they're not really very toyetic, I guess you would say. But
Okay.
I had to get them, you know.
I hear you.
But man, I love everything wrestling, and I try to collect it all.
I know it's terrible, but it's so awesome at the same time. Yeah, I'm big on the ultimates, like the ultimate line. So I actually just pre-ordered Bailey, Logan, and Punk.
Okay.
I just pre-ordered. That was the newest ones that came out. I'm waiting for that Tiffany Stratton because I'm a huge Stratton fan.
So
Uh,
my thing is I don't really collect anything of the new guys. You know, I'm for some strange reason I'm drawn to my era of
yeah,
wrestling, and so those are the ones I collect. So you know, if a new Jake the Snake comes out, I'll grab the new Jake the Snake or Mr.
yeah.
Perfect. But you know, anyone new, maybe CM Punk because I met Punk a few times and he was a very nice guy. So I might grab a Punk if something cool comes out with him. I didn't grab that new one that he has with the dog. His dog came with it.
I got that one.
You got
Yeah,
that one?
I saw it. I'm like, oh shit, that's cool. I'm getting it. I
Yeah,
bought it.
yeah. Uh, but
Larry.
yeah, so most of my collection now. My youngest son was big into wrestling. I tell you what, I have three boys, and they're about 3 to 4 years between their ages. So my oldest boy, he would come with me on the road, and he loved it because he would go behind, you know, be with me behind backstage, meeting everyone, and then he got to the age where he found girls, and then he left me. And then my middle boy was right at the age where he started wanting to come with me, so he got to hang out with me, and same thing. And then my youngest son, who was even bigger into wrestling, and he's the one that wanted to make sure he got pictures with the $1 Million Man, and pictures with Jake, and who's I can't think of his name now. Oh, the eldest guy. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name.
Oh,
The guy that used to dress up as Elvis.
Honky Tonk.
Honky Tonk. Yeah, so the Honky Tonk Man used to come in all the time, and he played with my son all the time. There's so many pictures of him and Honky Tonk Man that I've never seen before. Because you ever see like not it didn't have to be a legend, but an older
Yeah.
guy, you know, taking the time to talk with a person or play, you know, ball with a person. Like backstage, that's what Honky Tonk Man was doing with my son. He would want to make sure my son was having a good time, and
awesome.
so it's my, like I said, wrestling has done a lot for me. It's taken away a little bit as well because I've got my share of injuries. But for the most part, I won't want to do anything else. And the job that I got now, I got the weekends off and stuff like nights and weekends. So normally we're at the wrestling school 2 nights a week. So hanging out with Bob Orton Jr., which is a legend here in St. Louis,
Amazing.
and helping him helping him teach the new guys, and then wrestling, and then when the legends come through too. I mean, it's been so freaking awesome. I owe wrestling and Herb Simmons, and I call him Little Tony, but I was another promoter I had that helped start my career. I owe those guys a lot.
Yes, Herb is the best. All right, last question for you, Big Texan. This one's from Serena. Who would you want to see in SICW? Now, I know who Glenn wants to see. So
Well,
let's
what was his answer?
Tommy Invincible.
Who I would love to see come through is I never got to meet Bret Hart, and
Okay.
that whole Hart stable. Natalia and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. I grew up watching those, and I never got. So some strange reason I was never on a card with them, or they never came through our promotions, or one of the promotions that I worked for. So I would love to meet them and have them come in because I think it would pop St. Louis. One of my idols growing up was Terry Funk, and he came through multiple times. I was so glad I got to meet him. Current wise, I love to say the final boss because I never met The Rock, but at the same time, I think he hurt WrestleMania this year. I don't know what your opinion is on it, but I was looking forward to seeing The Rock at WrestleMania, and he never came out because he was in Hawaii. But I think that would have added to the John Cena, Cody Rhodes situation. I don't know. Kenny Omega, he's great. Those matches that he had with Bryan Danielson in AEW, those are great. That was a clinic right there. But I met Bryan Danielson. Ring of Honor used to tour St. Louis all the time again, so they would bring us in. We had a promotion here in St. Louis called Gateway Championship Wrestling, which a lot of those guys, started wrestling in ECW and Ring of Honor and everything. So I've met a lot of them. Man, I don't know. Any wrestler I would love to see and meet and be able to talk to. So
that's
all
awesome.
of them. That's my answer. I want all of them to come to St. Louis.
I feel the same way, but for Long Island. Big Texan, I appreciate you coming on, and of course, you're always welcome to come back. Let everybody know where they can follow you.
Man, all my socials is Jim the Big Texan Hofarth. So I got a YouTube. Well, I do a podcast myself. We do it on SICW. So the Squared Ring podcast, you can find us on. We do it weekly as well.
Awesome.
But I have my own YouTube channel, Jim the Big Texan. So anything social media wise, just type in Jim the Big Texan, you'll find me.
All right, and Robert says you should write a book.
I thought about it because it's a long career, and some of my peers have started writing their own books. I've been telling Herb Simmons that's the book that I want to have written right now because he started watching wrestling at the Chase, got involved in wrestling at the Chase, and then started his own promotion. That would be the book to read.
I want that book too.
Yeah. I would love to write my own book too, because the good, the bad, the ugly of professional wrestling. It would be a great read.
100%, and of course, get your tickets for SICW FanFest 3 at sicw.org, May 16th and the 17th. May 16th is the Built After Show, which is an amazing show, and it's even going to be even more amazing this year. And of course, we got the FanFest on Saturday, the St. Louis Hall of Fame, and the Bruiser Brody Memorial.
And I'm just going to chime in. There's a lot more legends than what's on that poster there.
Yes.
Devon Dudley has been added onto that.
Matt Riddle.
I think Jacqueline has been added onto that.
Yes.
So There's a whole bunch more, but sicw.org, that's where you'll see everyone that's on the list, and everything, the tickets, the hotel stay, and everything like that is all there.
All right. As for me, this Friday, even though I will not be there, make sure you guys support SWA. Fool Me 3 times from the NYWC Sportatorium. That's Friday. And on Saturday, NYWC presents Grandmaster of the Mat featuring Drew Gulak in the house for the NYWC Pro Wrestling. For your tickets for that. I will be at Rise of the Titans for Titan Championship Wrestling as PJ Savage takes on Michael Payne for that TCW Championship. Coming up also in May is the BCW show with Shadow Wrestling Alliance. They're teaming up for the Jurassic Celebration. Unfortunately, one of our fellow wrestlers passed away recently, and this memorial is for him 100%. Make sure you get your tickets. Free Combination Wrestling. Get all the information there. And in July, for the first time ever, NYWC presents Rising Stars Women's Wrestling. Legit Layla Hirsch is in the house. And then also announced Zoe Sky will be in the house. And many more announcements coming next week with myself and Coach David. We will be announcing the next couple of participants at Rising Stars Women's Wrestling. Whew, a lot of stuff going on, man. Yeah. Lots of stuff. I also got right now Bobby D coming on from SICW, the SICW heavyweight champion Bobby D, and the dastardly Stephen E. Joining me as well. And me and Stephen are going to duke it out because he tried to buy my 23-6 championship last time he came on, but he did not buy it and take it to the Saudis. Right. And I will be announcing on that episode a guest for next week who is a WCW legend.
Now I'm intrigued.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I'll tune in myself.
Check my messages for a special announcement. Oh, what is going on here?
Oh, are we going a little right now?
I guess I have to announce it now. All right, hold on. Bum, bum, bum. Let me get this graphic on. She made the announcement, so I got to do it. But just give me a second, and we'll announce it. You know, big legend coming up next week on Beyond the Barricade. The one, the only, Sonny Ono will be joining me this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Sonny Ono. We're going to talk about the Chosen tryouts coming up in this May, actually, on right before the Titan show.
You got to talk to him about his collection. You ever seen his collections?
Ooh, no, what does he got?
He's got. Oh my God!
We're gonna talk about. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that, and of course, the Chosen tryouts, and of course, WCW. One of my favorite times to watch wrestling was WCW as a kid.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate that. Not tomorrow, tonight. Yeah, I know. Tonight. Thanks thanks a lot, Serena. She jumped the gun, but it's okay. Big Texan, you got the scoop tonight. Sonny Ono coming on next week.
That's awesome. I'll be in attendance for that.
Appreciate that. Big Texan, hold on. Everybody else, I'll be back tomorrow night with Bobby D and Stephen E. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.